If you've been following the channel for a while, you'll know that I love Excel spreadsheets and I love data capture. I've actually captured all the data from FIFA 22 career mode, selected all of the 3rd and 4th division teams on FIFA, and ranked every single team based on the potential overall, amount of real faces, average age, which division they're in, and if they have a real stadium. This was done on the values that I think are most important for a fun career mode, basically focusing on potential overalls and the division of the team, where the lower division is better, and then less weight was given to things like having a real stadium, having lots of real faces, and having a young squad. To give you a bit more choice, I've split this video into 3 sections. The best foreign career mode, in this case only German, but if I ever do a second tier version of this video, I'll have France and Spain in there as well. The best 4th division teams, in this case only League 2 in England, and then finally the best overall teams to use based on the data that I've collected and ranked. So let's get started with the statistic 5 best foreign Road to Glory teams who are in at least the 3rd division. Munich are by far the best Road to Glory in Germany, coming 10 places ahead of the next best team, Braunschweig. 7th overall on the entire list is a really good score, but they're let down, as most German teams are, by the lack of real face players in the league. Removing the weighting to make this 0 sees many German teams progress towards the top 10, so if real faces don't matter to you at all, maybe Germany could be the best place for you after all. East German side Hallischer are actually former champions back in the post-war period, with a serious decline starting in the 1970s. They'd be a fun team to get back into the Bundesliga, and they find themselves 3rd in my 5 best foreign Road to Glory teams. Finally, Braunschweig were in the Bundesliga back in just 2014, so their decline was a bit more recent. They did nearly bounce back straight away in 2017, but they lost in the playoffs and found themselves relegated to the 3rd division the season after. The Lions are looking to have yet another rise up the pyramid, hopefully for them overtaking Hanover, their big rivals, in the process. It would be a fun challenge, and a team with a lot of history. 55 years after their last Bundesliga win, can you take Braunschweig back to the top of German football? If you're interested in seeing the entire list, so this is all the German teams, check the description where I've sent a link to the Sheets page. You've got tabs at the bottom so you can select the German League, League 1, League 2, or just see the overall ranking of all the teams. Moving away from Germany and to some of the more popular leagues on FIFA, we're going to be looking at the 5 best 4th division teams on FIFA 22. Lots and lots of people have already chosen Salford for their saves in the past. The allure of the class of 92, a massive budget for League 2, has given them the chance to buy players from much bigger teams around the UK. Salford can actually compete with teams in League 1 and the Scottish Premier League for wages and blow both of them out of the water with their big transfer fees. However, despite their big budget, most of their high potential players are actually on loan at the club. If you remove these loan players, not only does Salford's overall rating become one of the highest in the league, but their potential drops down and becomes very, very average. So you're going to have to try and invest in younger players with Salford's big budget, while also needing to meet the board's expectations of winning League 2 in the first season. Colchester are an unusual team. In real life, after 15 games, they find themselves in 19th place, only 5 points above relegation. However, in FIFA, they're one of the best Road to Glory teams in League 2. With a very standard average age of 24 years old, the joint 2nd best overall rating in the league, and the joint 2nd best potential, they score highly on my ranking system. 9 of their team has 70 or higher potential, which puts them at either leading League 2 players or good championship players if they do manage to hit their potential. Striker Samson Tavide could even go further, with excellent FIFA stats, your pace, agility and strength, and he has Premier League standard potential. I think this is a team that proves my rankings are successful at doing what I wanted, because there's no chance I'd have even looked at Colchester for a Road to Glory before doing this. The rest of League 2 is actually very similar. There are a few teams that rank highly just because of young squads like Scunthorpe, whose average age is just 22.2 years old. However, this causes them to have low overall, which is masked by them having higher than average potential, so they do score higher than they probably should. Other standout teams for League 2 include Harrogate and Tranmere, who have very, very old teams who need rebuilds, and Bristol Rovers, who have a team with a really good overall at 63, but an average of only 65 potential, showing that their squad is already at its peak. Once again, if you're interested in seeing the entire list, check the description below where I've linked a sheet with all the information used in this video. Before we get into the 5 best Road to Glory teams on this list, I thought I'd point out some more standouts from the sheet. With an average age of 27 years old, Tranmere's players on average are born 3 years after every other team. Harrogate are only 2 days on average younger, meaning only hours separate Harrogate from actually being the oldest Road to Glory team you can do, which leads me to believe both of these teams would be good for total rebuilds using younger players. The youngest Division 3 or 4 team in FIFA is Wimbledon. With a reputation for being aggressive and maybe a bit old, this is contradictory to the view of the club. At just 22 on average, the only teams younger were the two B teams from Freiburg and Dortmund that are maybe harder to play realistically and therefore less fun. 3 teams in this division can almost put out a full team of real-face players. All of them are in League One and each has around 6 real-face players. Sheffield Wednesday, Sunderland and Lincoln all have some high-profile and ex-Premier League or international players in their squad. I don't really mind using generic faces, but for people that want a head start on their full real face squad, these are the teams to use. Lower down the pyramid, a handful of League 2 teams have 2 real face players in their squads, but that's about as good as it gets at that level. So you're going to be looking at either 2 in League 2 or going for something like 6 or 7 in League 1. Only 2 teams on this entire list have real stadiums in the game, so if that's a big deal for you, then you should go for either Sunderland or Portsmouth, again, both in League 2. And finally, Sutton United are statistically the worst or hardest road to glory in FIFA 22. They have an old squad, they're in the lowest division, they have bad players, and they have really low potential on average. Victoria Berlin are the hardest in Germany, and they're only saved from being the hardest of any road to glory because they have a much younger squad who are also a division higher than Sutton United. If you want a really hard road to glory, then I would go for either Sutton or Victoria Berlin. TSV Havelse are a slightly different team. They've got a better team overall with a little bit less potential, but again, it's still not going to be easy. Sutton United, however, really are the worst by quite a distance. So now, finally, the moment you've been waiting for. In my opinion, and statistically, the 5 best Road to Glory teams on FIFA 22. We're going to be going from 5th to 1st, so stick around all the way to the end if you want to know who's the best Road to Glory team. Anyway, in 5th place, we have the only London-based team on the list. Charlton were one of the worst managed teams in the English League under their previous owners. This is a tough ask with people like Mel Morris at Derby, but Roland Duchâtelet really did put Charlton into a deadspin. His only objective appeared to be making a profit by selling young players with no regard for staff, the club, or fans. His lack of passion was never more evident than when he refused to go to the playoff final in League One when Charlton managed to reach it in 2017. This backstory is needed to understand why a club like Charlton, who've been bobbing between the Championship and the Premier League for most of its history, find themselves stuck in League One for such a long time, despite so many good players moving through the club. While their current squad might not have the players and the potential of their former years, players like Ezri Konsa, Nick Pope or Joe Gomez, players like Albie Morgan and Chris Porter do have a lot of potential. Their squad is old and it's riddled with players like Ben Watson, Harry Arter, Chris Gunter and Jason Pearce, who are all over 30 years old and nowhere near usable on FIFA. They do have a good budget, however, so Charlton are more of a rebuilding an old squad type of team rather than developing what we have, Road to Glory. But personally, I do find that kind of save more fun. In 4th place, Portsmouth are another team that people will know from playing in the Premier League. You'll remember players like Defoe, Crouch, Canu and Nico Kranjčar, but again, bad owners have made Pompey fall as far as the 4th division in recent years. A slight resurgence has seen them get back into Division 3, and now Portsmouth have a solid young team with some players having almost elite level potential. For example, look out for 19-year-old goalkeeper Gavin Bazunu over the next few seasons. His potential would make him around a top 5 to 10 Premier League goalkeeper. Pompey do not have the same budget as the top 3 in my league, so I'll judge them as a harder save, probably the second most challenging in the top 5 after Charlton. With a real stadium, Portsmouth really is ready for you to give them another shot at the Premier League in FIFA 22. In the bronze position, 3rd place, we have the only team on this list with some European honours. Ipswich Town won the UEFA Cup, which is now known as the Europa League, back in 1981. The same season, they were runners-up in the Premier League, a feat they managed to repeat the season after too. The Tractor Boys rank so highly because they are way above average at everything except their squad age. But still, 25 years old is not actually that old of a team. The squad can put out an entire front line where every player is under 25 while having more than 73 potential. This level of potential would make them fit for playoff-chasing championship teams if Ipswich can actually get promoted. Their squad has some familiar names, but no one more familiar to FIFA Road to Glory players than Connor Chaplin, a player that almost everyone used in their old RTGs back on old FIFAs, and he still has some room to grow, which would make him a very good championship star midfielder in the future. If you want a team with both history and potential, you should definitely choose Ipswich to do your Road to Glory with. They might not need a lot of signings and a big rebuild, but see if you can focus on the youth academy like Ipswich prefer to do in real life. Down to the final two on this list, and if you're familiar with League One, you'll probably know which both are. Although probably first choice for most people at Road to Glory at these levels, Sunderland actually finished second on my rankings. With a score only slightly ahead of Ipswich, thanks to their real stadium, Sunderland are a team which most of you will know either from their long association with top flight football, or their documentary series that went behind the scenes at their collapse into Division 3. They have a super young team, which is most of the reason they've ranked so highly. They might not have the best average overall, but the players you do start you'll have the ability to win promotion with. Aidan McGeeney still plays as the star creating force, despite being 35 years old, so this might be an area to look at strengthening in the future. Sunderland's squad is actually surprisingly bad. With an average overall of just 64.5, they find themselves behind teams like Rotherham United and level on overall with Shrewsbury Town, teams that are nowhere near as reputable as the Black Cats. With a lot of their players being high reputation ex-Prem players, they do have a lot of real faces, most of any Tier 3 side with 7. If this is important to you or you like a real stadium, then sure, Sunderland are probably the team for you. However, if you want all-around potential, with still a decent amount of real faces and a bit more history, maybe Sheffield Wednesday is actually the team for you. It's incredible to think that despite so much history and success at their home ground, Hillsborough is still mostly associated with the tragedy in a match that didn't even involve Sheffield Wednesday. Despite its significance, unfortunately the ground isn't in-game, however this is the only area that Sheffield Wednesday actually scored poorly in on my rankings. They are a team with the best overall, they're the team with the best potential, they have an average age which is good, and they also have the most real faces as a percentage of players. Wednesday are the second oldest professional team in FIFA, after Nottingham Forest. Inaugural members of the English Football League, they've won the Premier League 4 times, 3 FA Cups, and have competed in the UEFA League, something not a lot of League One teams can claim to have done. Their star player is Barry Bannon, who's now played over 250 games for the Owls. At 31, he's still playing at a championship level, and you'll have him at that level for another 2 to 3 years, but he's by far the standout player not only for Wednesday, but for the entire league. With a budget of £4 million, it's totally up to you how to develop Sheffield Wednesday. As the rankings suggest, they could go in any direction. You could fully rebuild, bringing the average age down, get young players from other teams in the league. You could develop some of your future stars like Corbinu or Deli Bashiru so they're ready for championship football once you get there. You could keep their policy of loaning good young players while signing experienced players at their peak like they do in real life. There's so many different ways you can go with Sheffield Wednesday. That's why I believe they deserve their place not only on this list, but in first place. But make sure to let me know if you disagree with this ranking. I hope you've enjoyed this data-driven look into FIFA Career Mode. If you'd like to see this done but with second tier teams included too, please do let me know by either commenting this or liking the video because it's definitely something I'd love to do. Make sure to subscribe too if you like content like this and check out the links on screen if you want to click on some of my other videos. If you're planning on doing a save, let me know how it's going by either posting on Discord, where the link is in the description, or message me on Twitter. Thank you all for watching, I hope I'll see you very soon, hopefully without the cold that I'm sure some of you will tell that I have, and thank you for watching, see you very soon. Goodbye.